Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications.
After several unsuccessful efforts by previous administrations to complete an age-long project for the construction of a permanent headquarters for the Commission in Port Harcourt, the contract was recently revived by the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and it's nearing completion. Upon visiting this construction site and interacting with the contractors handling the project, we discovered that all efforts were being made to bring the project to fruition. Almost 3 decades ago, the defunct Oil Minerals Producing Areas Development Commission, UNPADEC, awarded a contract for the construction of its permanent office at the Eastern Bypass in Port Harcourt. Construction work began on the project in 1996, and though it was a top priority project conceived to provide the Commission with an enabling environment to effectively plan and coordinate development activities in the Niger Delta, it turned out to be one of the many stalled projects inherited by the Niger Delta Development Commission, which was established by an Act of Parliament to replace UNPADEC as an intervention agency in the Niger Delta. Under the Nddc, contract for the construction of his permanent office was re-awarded on several occasions, but the project failed to see the light of day on account of poor project management culture of successive administrations in the Commission. Our findings revealed that the project's completion was largely hampered by contractors' failure to meet approved specifications following inadequate supervision by the project's monitoring directorate of the Nddc. It was also gathered that delayed payment had contributed significantly to the stalling of the project when the contract was re-awarded on the 5th of November 2009 at a cost of about 5 billion naira. In a failed attempt to accelerate the pace of work on the new corporate headquarters of the Nddc, a contract for the completion of its ancillary building was awarded on the 10th of December 2014. Again, the pace of work was affected by delayed payment. In a desperate attempt to complete the construction of its new corporate headquarters in Port Harcourt, the Nddc re-awarded the contract to Rodnap Construction Limited at a cost of 16 billion naira in March 2018. The construction giant had mobilized the site but could not commence work due to some logistical challenges it encountered from the onset. The project's completion had been derailed by vested interest and subsisting legal issues, all of which were sufficiently addressed soon after Senator Godswill Akpabio was appointed Minister of Niger Delta Affairs in August 2019. In rethinking the strategy for the project's extension, Senator Akpabio's first consideration was to sort out subsisting legal issues with the previous contractor. Following the Honorable Minister's intervention, Rodnap Construction Limited finally commenced work on the project in the last week of September 2019.
When we came in, we made this structure as carcass. It was just block work and some cement concrete works standing. This entire place was a bush. It was swampy, you could not even access it. The grasses and the bushes were almost 2.5 meters high. We only had a track where we can just find ourselves through to see, but you can see where we are today.
At the commencement of work, Rodnap Construction Company discovered that the project for the new Nddc corporate headquarters, designed over 24 years ago, had become obsolete, incapable of serving present-day needs. This prompted Rodnap Construction Limited to update the project scope and introduce new innovative technology with a view to enhancing the durability and functionality of the facility. The new corporate headquarters of the Nddc, which is situated along Eastern Bypass in the Port Harcourt metropolis, occupies a vast landmass of about 38,000 square meters. The office complex has a main building to be occupied by board members and directors of the Commission when completed. In addition to the 12-story edifice is an ancillary building with provisions for a bank, community hall, clinic and restaurant. To ensure public safety and security, the new contractor handling the project has made provisions for smoke detectors, fire alarms and fire sprinklers, as well as a high-grade central distribution board for seamless power transmission in the facility. To mitigate the negative impact of COVID-19 lockdown on the pace of its work, Rodnap Construction Limited has engaged its resident workers who are currently working to ensure a speedy completion of the project.
So we have accommodation for some of our staffs on site. Now, because of the lockdown, nobody can come in. But those that are within the compound, they are working. Still obeying and respecting the social distancing and all safety measures in place. We are working every day. These people are, as I told you, they are living here. Whether there's COVID-19 or there's no COVID-19, they are living here. So we said, since they are living here, no need for people to come from outside. Let's respect all the laws. But we are working. As you can see, everybody is respecting the laws. You see, yes. All this we are doing is to try to meet up to finish the project.
After successfully powering the entire facility with 3 800 kVA generators, the contractor has been able to deliver sanitary wares and tiles in all the offices. Undoubtedly, the construction of a new corporate headquarters for the Nddc is now in its finishing stage, with escalators and lifts already installed and working. These escalators, can we describe them as heavy duty? Can they take a lot of people?
Yes, yes. We have steps. As much as you have steps, you can be on it. It's constant. It keeps moving. It keeps moving.
Durable.
Yes, they are.
Where were these imported from?
From Germany.
Rodnap is an indigenous company with a track record of quality service delivery in the construction industry, spanning a period of over 2 decades. In bringing its expertise to bear on the construction of a permanent office for the Nddc, the company has introduced several innovations, one of which is a drainage system designed to allow for easy evacuation of water from the premises. This is in addition to the provision of a modern sewage treatment plant that is in place to recycle sewage into fresh water. The entire landscape is dotted with street lights, which are currently being installed, vast parking lots, and green areas. Having taken the project to a completion stage of about 90%, Rodnap is satisfied with the efforts it had made so far and is willing to go the extra mile to deliver the project according to specification at record time. Contrary to allegations in the social media that Rodnap Construction Limited is owned by Senator Godswill Akpabio, our investigations reveal that the Honorable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs has no connection with the construction giant. At the time of the award of the contract in March 2018, Senator Akpabio had no inkling of his appointment as supervising minister of the Nddc. And as a patriotic stakeholder in the Niger Delta Development Project, the former governor of Akwa Ibom State had thought it wise to revive the ongoing project in the collective interest of his people.
Head office of the Nddc, located in Port Harcourt, in 19 years, it requires only 26 million naira for it to be connected to the national grid. But as I speak with you now, they are not yet connected to the national grid. They are using generators. And even that head office, they are on rent. They are paying over 200 million a year on rent, and yet they have a head office, a permanent head office building that they started construction in 1996 under the days of Ampadek. And 23 years after, they are still in a rented property that is not connected to the national grid. Because if you connect it to the national grid, it means somebody will no longer supply diesel. So it is important for somebody to supply diesel in order to make money. We need to change the paradigm. The works in the Niger Delta must last. We must change the configuration of construction.
In the same vein, critics of the ongoing project, which was awarded prior to Senator Akpabio's appointment as Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, have maintained that the 16 billion naira awarded for the contract was unnecessarily inflated. Their position is unmindful of the fact that virtually all materials for the project are imported at prices that have been skyrocketed by the diminishing value of the naira in the international market.
More things are coming up. Like you have seen, there was little or no access control or in terms of intercom within the structure. We cannot deliver a project in 2020 and still have the design or the functionality of 20 years back. So we had to add some other things between September and now, about few months. The dollar was at 360. Today we are talking about 460, 465. It's not stable. 95% or even more of the materials used in the building, according to the specification, are all from overseas. Now, when you're going overseas, you have to exchange. You have to get dollar. And as such, the price definitely must change because the value of the naira is changing.
For teaming supporters of the federal government reforms in the NDDC through the instrumentality of the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Akpabio deserves commendation and not condemnation for his unwavering commitment to the completion of the corporate headquarters of the NDDC.
He's the man we need at this moment. It's somebody that loves this country, he loves his people, he wants good things. You can see that, you can see for yourself anytime you step into Akwa Ibom. Maybe you've been to Akwa Ibom before now, and then you can go back there and check what is happening. Those are, you give people things to do based on record. You can see that within months the air office of NDDC will be completed. This is an agency that has gotten over close to 1 trillion naira, but they can't get an office. They can't build an office for themselves. And somebody is coming within months and that place is almost completed. Godswill Ekpabi is a brand. You copy, you buy into a brand. You don't try to kill a brand.
The Ekpabi I know, we've heard about and we have seen. He has done projects. That is to say, for him to complete those projects at when due, he managed the finance under him. He has worked in Akwa Ibom. He delivered projects, roads, stadiums. If he's not prudent in managing money, I don't think he can do it. So I believe the president has not done wrong by appointing him into that office.
Over 24 years since a contract was first awarded for the construction of a permanent corporate headquarters for the NDDC by the defunct UMPADEC, the project had been executed in fits and starts until recently when Senator Akpabio took over its execution and supervision. So far, the project has recorded significant milestones and is expected to be commissioned before the end of the year in the hope that the current global lockdown occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic is finally relaxed in the shortest possible time.
Inside the Niger Delta,